Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. We're happy to have you here. As background, in 2010, Julie Beck, a church leader at the time, said, "Women are like lionesses at the gate of the home. Whatever happens in that home and family happens because she cares about it and it matters to her. She guards that gate."
Welcome to the Lioness at the Door, a podcast where we discuss timely, healthy habits in our thinking, planning, and doing as we each stand as lionesses at the doors of our homes and our lives. We're just two regular girls talking about daily challenges from a gospel perspective. I'm Amy Rasmussen, a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. I'm here with my friend Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Sorensen. I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother. It's the best part, and a holistic health coach for women of faith.
Today, we actually have kind of a different special episode for you because this episode is going to revolve around a listener question we got after our listener heard our Valentine's Day podcast, in which we discussed victimhood a little bit. And the question that this woman shared with us is this. She said, "I am aware that I am in victimhood. I realize I'm there, but why do I stay in victimhood? I don't like how it feels. I don't like the results from it. But even as I'm kind of seeing myself from outside like that, I still stay there. So what is it that keeps me in this place that I know I don't want to be?" So we're just going to take some time to dive into that a little bit. I think there are multiple reasons for why any of us find ourselves staying in victimhood. And so I think I'll just let you jump in and start. Jackie, what would you say to our listener who wants to get out, but she's like, why am I staying here?
Yeah, well, part of when we see ourselves someplace we don't want to be, part of shifting out is recognizing where what truth is missing, and recognizing the ways that way of being is working really well for us in a maladaptive way. It's not working for our overall good, but it's doing what we've learned, what we think that we need it to do.
It must be serving something.
Yes.
It's like eating ice cream because it tastes so gloriously delicious, and then wondering, why do I not feel awesome all the time when all I eat is ice cream? Right? But it tastes so good. Yeah. There's something, it's giving us something, but it's not giving us what we really want.
Yeah. But the victimhood, unlike the ice cream, actually serves, eating and having that enjoyment or that sugar rush. Well, I guess it is very similar to having a way to function, to show up in the world that keeps the pressure off, we think, that keeps people from expecting too much, that keeps us from expecting too much of ourselves, even. And even more than that, gives us this pretend sense of power, instead of, because we need that power because we don't have the love. We don't feel unconditionally loved, and therefore we're filling it in with whatever we can get. And if I am acting like a victim and you are responding to me that way, I'm getting something from you because I'm in need. I'm truly in need, but I'm getting something that is not going to fill the need because it's not actually what I really need.
Right.
So that's the way that it's maladaptive, of course. But the short answer is because it's working for you.
It's not painful enough, maybe. I think sense. Yeah, but I think sometimes things have to become painful enough or be broken enough that then we think, this isn't working for me. Something has to change. Right. So I'm just hearing you as you say, well, somehow it must be working for you. That makes a lot of sense to me, because even if we think about a car that we know something needs to be fixed, but it's still working for us, then we don't take it in to get the oil change, or recently we didn't oil the squeaky door and it was really, really loud and obnoxious because it's working for us, right? But it was glorious when we oiled that door.
Oh yes, it makes such
So I can see what you mean about it working for us, even though when we're not in that place of victimhood, it sure doesn't look like it's working for anyone, right? But when we're there, it's working well enough. It's getting us through each day.
Right. But the big problem is that because we're using that, and we've all done it, this isn't a criticism of anybody. We've all done this millions of times.
Yep.
Because we're employing that getting or that protective stance, that thing, it's keeping us from actually getting the love.
Right.
The barrier. It's the barrier between us and what we actually need. And that makes it absolutely tragic sometimes. Because while we might be full of angst and fearful and not living the joy that we want to be living, sometimes it's just that we don't know anything else. We don't know how to exit. Where's the exit program? Where's the door? I don't know where the door is.
Right.
And so I think in the question is also, even though it wasn't put into words, where's the door?
Right.
How do I get out of this? And I want to say with all the love in my heart that the biggest blaring lit up neon sign above the door, exit here, this door, is owning it. Is saying, like, for instance, the time that this mostly raises its head for me is in a conversation with my spouse. That's where I see it most clearly in myself. And as soon as I recognize it because I'm feeling badly. That's the sign. That's the red flag. Hey, you're thinking about this. You're not being clear in your brain. You're not being in truth because you're feeling like garbage. So red flag, I'm feeling like garbage. Why am I feeling like garbage? So I'm irritated. Why am I irritated? Because I'm acting like I'm the middle of the universe. That's why I'm irritated, because you didn't think about me, or it seems you didn't factor in what I want and my time and it's me. That's what's at the underneath, right? So when I own that and I say, I am so sorry that I was just feeling like and acting like a victim, and that was wrong of me. I'm sorry. That's the exit. And the beauty is that once you go through that door, what's on the other side of that door is love. And I can take it in because I'm not manipulating anybody to get it. Because as soon as I manipulate the world, it's not unconditional.
Right.
I earned it. I made it happen. I convinced you.
Right.
So on the other side of I'm sorry, this is what I can see that I was just doing, is the unconditional love that's waiting, and in abundance in this place, in this world, in this universe, is this abundant love. And we're holding ourselves back from it because we haven't gone through the door.
And it's that door of accountability.
Yeah.
And owning our stuff. The two thoughts that came to mind with this question for me were, they just have a lot to do with what you were saying, and that is that you can't see another way. You've lived this way for so long. You've seen this way of living for so long that you literally cannot see that there's another way.
You were taught this.
You were, yeah.
This. Yes.
Right. Yes. And then even when you begin to see that there's another way, let's say someone in your life, you think, wow, they do it differently. I can see something different. I want to change, whatever. It has already become a habit. Now, habits can be changed, but it takes effort and it takes work and it takes going through that door over and over and over again. It's not like, oh, I have been released. Now I will never sit there again, right? It's going to come up again, hopefully less frequently, but at first when it's all we know. And then when we see that there's something different and we do want to change, but we're like, well, why can't I just change? It's because it's ingrained. It's the habit. And so then we have to learn the tools and the steps. And we also have to figure out how to own it. I've been in conversations with people before, multiple people, and I've even seen it in myself where, well, we had this conversation and, they said this and blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, what did they actually say? So then they say, well, they said these words, but I knew that what they meant, right?
Yeah.
And we do that. Now, part of that is communication, right? We move our bodies, we move our faces, we have a tone of voice. So there's all kinds of communication going on that is nonverbal.
Most of it, actually.
Most of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But somehow we can still mistranslate that often, right? And we can put ourselves in victim mode. Because in the end, regardless of whether that person over there said that and meant exactly what you just said, if someone just said something and they really honestly meant you are a big fat jerk, well, you don't have to you don't have to take that in and make it your reality, right? You can own, this is how I showed up in this situation. I showed up wanting what I wanted with my own agenda. And that's why I'm frustrated this other person has an agenda, right? And you can start working through it, regardless of what the other person really meant. But so often we assign all these things to that other person and they all put us squarely in victimhood because it's all rough for me.
Yeah. The quote that I love so much that really is the root of this whole idea of unconditional love is something to the effect of, and this is Dr. Greg Bear. He says, the goal is to stay in a point of choice, no matter what anyone else is doing.
Yep.
That I can be happy, I can be in a state of love, no matter what anyone else is doing, no matter if they're flinging, chewing me out, cussing me out, whatever, blaming their problems on me, trying to pull me into a state of contention. The goal is to maintain my agency and my choice to be in a happy place. And I promise you that it happens, that it is possible. And that with practice and bringing our brains back into reality, not squirreled off into all the thoughts of victimhood, all of the lying and excuse making and attacking, and he said this and she said that. And it's just, it actually works. It really, really works.
It does.
And the thing that is the most important piece is that we are feeling loved every day. And that is within our power. And the biggest key that I know of is the one we talked about, where we take responsibility. I think that's why repentance is one of the first 4 principles of the gospel. Because if you're not willing to own your agency, what can I do for you?
Right.
God says, I can love you, but you're not going to feel it. You're not going to feel it because your bad behavior is too dissonant. It's creating too much dissonance in you. So I'm giving it, I'm here, I'm pouring it on you. In fact, that's who he is. He can't be something else. He is love. He is loving. He can't not love us. It's not in his character. He can't do it. The feeling, the distance that we have, and the lack of trust that is actually true, that God could love us. That's our own stuff. muddying up the works, right? It's my own bad behavior making me feel unworthy of that, or just undeserving, but I'm just not in that vibe
Right.
of love.
I am having a couple of thoughts here. One is just that, as you talked about repentance, that repentance is choosing agency over and over and over again, right? Which is really a cool way to think of it.
Yes.
That each time we do this, we say, yep, I did that. I don't want to do it anymore. Let's move forward. Oh, I did that again. I really don't want to do it anymore. I'm trying to learn new tools, and continually choosing agency.
Mhm.
So that, I think, is a big deal. The other thing that came to mind is I've heard the phrase of, I think it's victim blaming, where people blame the victim in the situation for bringing something on themselves. And we are not talking about that. We are not talking about that with victimhood at all.
No.
So it is possible actually to be a victim of something that something happens, and you are still not in victimhood. That's what's amazing, right? And at the very beginning, sometime early on with the podcast, we talked about this, and I said, if you are a victim of getting hit by a car, you are standing on the street corner and that car hits you, and then you are in the hospital. You were obviously a victim in that situation. And we can think of all kinds of situations where someone is the victim of somebody else's choices, or just life's event, or what life's events. But it doesn't mean you have to stand and live in victimhood, because at every point you have a choice. The choices may have changed, they may have shifted, but you always have choice. And I think one of the big tools as you're trying to own what you've got going on is to learn how to see the choices before you. Learn how to recognize, what choice do I have? And I love when Viktor Frankl, in a concentration camp, as he's being experimented on while he's awake, realizes that he has the choice of how to respond to these horrible, horrible circumstances, right? And I can't think of anything else that illustrates better being a victim in the very moment that you are choosing not to live in victimhood.
Yes. A Man's Search for Meaning. If you haven't
Yep.
read it, read it. Yeah.
Yes. And it just gives me this amazing feeling of hope, because if he could do it in that situation, then I am confident that it can work for me. Even if it takes time and a lot of work and a lot of energy, it can work for me.
And our culture does not support what you just said.
It does
at
not.
all.
Nope.
Our culture is a contest to see who is the bigger victim. That is the suit.
Yes.
Our culture.
Yeah.
Nope, it's me. Nope, it's me. Nope, it's my group. No, it's my group. And it's getting us into a world of hurt.
Right.
It's painful.
Yeah. And it's difficult because it really, even on the individual level, one has to separate. Yes, I was a victim in that situation, but I am going to continue to choose and use my agency. I'm not going to choose victimhood, right?
You don't have to act like one, right?
Yep, you don't have to act like one. And it doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean you don't change your location or your situation if that is what is warranted. But I don't know, it's just something that needs a lot of discussion and understanding. And
it's really a muddy topic. It's
yeah,
really, yeah,
it really is. I wanted to just share one other thing, because I think it relates here. As you were talking about when you have those conversations with your spouse, and that's where you find yourself most often realizing, like, okay, I am coming to the table here in victim mode. The word that came to mind was selfishness. Not like, oh, you're so selfish, but just like, yep, I've been there too, when all of the focus is me, right? And I think that's the definition of selfish, right? When the whole focus is on us.
yeah.
And I have a quote hanging in my space here that I actually hung up because I was studying patience. And this is what it says. Let's see. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It talks about patience, but then it talks about impatience. It says, impatience is a symptom of selfishness. It is a trait of the self-absorbed. And what I thought was so fascinating about this is this changed the idea of patience in my brain forever.
Mhm.
So often we try to work on patience. But if impatience is a symptom of selfishness, I don't need to work on being less impatient. I need to work on selfishness. Because if I can't figure out the selfishness and the self-absorption, then the impatience is just going to keep coming up because it's just the symptom. So that's what was making me think, because you said you've got to figure out what truth is missing. If you're just working super hard on, okay, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be a victim mode. Well, you might be looking at the symptom of not feeling that love, right? Not recognizing and accepting the love that is there and not choosing to own it.
Yes, and I would just say again that it doesn't matter what the vice is.
No.
It doesn't matter if it's impatience. It doesn't matter if it's selfishness. It doesn't matter if it's being in victim mode or lying or attacking people or feeling justified in yelling at little innocents. It doesn't matter what it is. The underneath side is always, I am not feeling loved.
Mm-hmm.
So our energy and effort, while it's good to study and learn and know all the, this is this and this is the opposite of that, and this is, when he says this, what do you say, kind of things, but I think the main thing is, am I spending time connecting with, first of all, the giver of all love, the creator of love, who is love? Am I connecting with that being who is God the Father? Or am I spending time in places that bring me to that closeness, that bring me to that knowledge of who he is and who I am in comparison to him, in relation to him? It's like the most important thing that we can do for our own happiness, for our being well adjusted, for our relationships, for our families, for our career, for anything. It's just the most important thing that there is, because it's the source of what we need. Everything else that we do that's bad behavior is just a lack of what we actually need. Just coming down.
Down to all of it. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing is a takeaway suggestion, a thought, something to try, is figure out how you can connect with the source of that love. I like to call it sitting with God. That speaks a lot more to me than saying, well, I have to say my prayers, or I have to read my scriptures, or I have to, right? No. Am I sitting with God? Have I had a chance to sit with God today? And if not, how am I going to do that? And sitting with God can take 1 minute, it can take 30 minutes, right? And it can take a lot of forms, but taking that time to be with him who can give us the truth and give us the love makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I have to say that anytime we hear the I have to, as if it is something that's being put upon us, yep, we're in victim mode. Mm-hmm. I choose to, I want to, I don't want to do anything else. I want this. I want to be in love, and I know where the source is, and I want to be in it as much as I possibly can. As much time spent there, the greater the amount of time I spend there, the easier and more peaceful everything else is.
Right. Well, we hope that this discussion on victimhood and on owning it, and in the end, really on being in a place where you are able to receive that love, has been helpful for you today. We hope that you will find some tools and figure out some ways that you can put on those glasses that allow you to see how to own it, and that can allow you to see those things that for you will bring you to that place where you can feel that love. And we're open.
Don't complicate it. Don't complicate it.
Keep
just
it simple.
Own it. Just be done.
Yeah.
Just own it. Yeah.
That'd be great. We would love to hear from you. You can post here at the YouTube video. You can post where we have posted on Facebook. We'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, because that helps other people know about what we are sharing. And you can always email us at jackie.sorensen@gmail.com. I guess that's really all we've got for you today. So go out, own it, and feel the real love. With that, I just want to say I'm Amy Rasmussen.
And I am Jackie Sorensen. And as Gandhi said, in a gentle way, I am shaking the world. Take care, everybody.
See you next time.